More solving equations with variables on both sides. Like we did before, more complicated stuff, we want to spend more time on it, so here we go with our second day. Solve each equation. Now, the steps that I still want to appeal to are don't call me a monster, or distribute, combine like terms, move variables, add, subtract, multiply, divide. So with this first problem, number 1, the first thing it looks like we need to do is not distribute, because there are no parentheses. I think we can combine like terms. Let's see. These two over here can't go together. These two over here can't go together. So no combining like terms. Move variables, however. Okay, we can do that. So let's go ahead and subtract 5d from both sides. Subtracting 5d, we get negative 2d minus 10 equals negative 4, because those cancel out. They're zero pair. Add, subtract, we can do that. We're going to add 10 to both sides, which will give us negative 2d equals 6. And then dividing by negative 2, we get d equals negative 3. And there we have it. Remember how you can check this with the calculator. Okay, make sure you're doing that as you go, because these get more complicated. All right, number 2, we can distribute here. So we're going to distribute. I'm going to draw my line. Distribute over here. That is 5x plus 20. 20 equals 7x minus 14. We cannot combine like terms because they're on opposite sides here. We can move variables. Subtract 7x from the x term there. Pretty important. Negative 2x plus 20 equals negative 14. Add, subtract. We'll subtract 20 from both sides. That'll give us a negative 34. Bring down our negative 2x. And then divide by negative 2 to get x equals positive 17. Make sure that you are checking these. All right, number 3. Again, don't call me a monster. First thing we can do on number 3 is distribute. I'm going to draw my line first. Distribute, so I can distribute the 3 and get 4 plus. That's going to be 3x minus 6 equals 3x plus 2 minus x. Now, next thing we can combine like terms. Now, over here on the left side, there's a 4 and a minus 6, which will give us a negative 2. So negative 2 plus 3x will bring it down. Now up here, we can combine the 3x and the minus x. So 3 minus 1 will give us a 2, so it gives us a 2x plus 2. All right, moving variables, we can subtract 2x from the x term. That gives us a 2 on the right side and an x. I'm going to go and change the order, x minus 2. We have 1x, and the minus 2 comes down. Adding 2 to both sides, we get x equals 4. And there's our solution. Number 4. Okay, good. Number 4, first thing, distribute. We will distribute right here to get 3x minus 18. I'm going to bring down the plus 2. Distribute the 4 here and get 4x plus 8 minus 21, bringing that down. Alright. So bringing the 2 down, bringing the minus 21. We can combine like terms. On either side here, we have minus 18 and plus 2. And on the opposite side, we have plus, let me change that color. On the opposite side, we have plus 8 and minus 21. So that will give us a negative 16 on this side. And over here, we'll have a minus 13. Make sure, yep. Okay, now that brings, I'm going to bring down 3x equals 4x. Okay. Next, we need to move variables. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4x from the x term on both sides. That will give us a negative 1x minus 16 equals negative 13. Add, subtract. We can add 16 to both sides because we want to get the x by itself. Negative 1x equals positive 3. Last thing we have is this negative 1. We need to divide by negative 1. And to get that gives us x equals negative 3. And you might want to pause the video, check that in your calculator, make sure it works. Alright, number 5. Distribute. Can't do that on this one. Combine like terms. On this side, yes. Okay, so let's do that. Combine like terms, we have 3x minus x. Can't do anything over here. So that is going to give us a 2x, because that's a minus 1. And then we can bring down plus 2, 2x plus 1. Next, we have move variables. We can do that. We will subtract 2x from either side. Have to do it on both sides. 0 pair, 0 pair. So we get 2 equals 1. Again, is this a true or false statement? If it's a true statement, then our answer is all real numbers. If it's a false statement, it's not true, then it is no solution. In this case, 2 is never going to equal 1. So there's no way this will work out. So our answer is no solution. That means there's no number that we could possibly plug in. We could try every number that there is, and none of them work. All right, number 6, distribute. Actually, we finished with that one, so I'll go ahead and finish the steps here. Distribute. We can do that on number 6. Distribute the 3. We will get 3x, no, that's 6x. 6x minus 3 equals negative 3 plus 6x. If these two sides look familiar or look similar, they are. Negative 3, positive 6. So we'll move variables next, since we can't combine like terms over here or over here. Move variables, we'll subtract 6x. And we get 0 pair, 0 pair, negative 3 equals negative 3. This is a true statement. Negative 3 is always negative 3. Therefore, our answer is all real numbers. Remember that from the other day. Okay, that's good. That's a pretty big deal. Those are two special cases that can happen, and they do happen. So be prepared to see those again. Number 7. We have 7 parentheses x plus 2 equals 3x. First, I'm going to draw my line down the middle. I'm going to go and do it for both of these. I can distribute, so I'm going to do that. 7x plus 14. Can't do anything over here. Can't combine like terms over here. Those 3x on the wrong side. Can't combine those two. Move variables. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x. Just notice 3x minus 3x is 0. So now I have 4x plus 14. I can add, subtract. Subtract 14 in this case. Negative 14 on the right. 4x on the left. Dividing by 4, because that is our last step, multiply or divide, and we get x equals negative 7 over 2. Negative 7 over 2. Now, since it's the only fraction, it's a really good idea to check that one, but it is true. Okay, it is our solution. Number 8. I've already got my line drawn. Can I distribute? Yes, over here on the right. I distribute that. So I'm going to distribute that and get... distribute the 3 and get 3x plus 18. Bring down everything else. Whoa. X plus 4x. Combine like terms. Yes, we can do that. We've got these two right next to each other. Can't do anything over there, so we get 5x equals 3x plus 18. Okay, let's see, move variables, subtract Actually, not yet. I want to subtract 3x. I was going to go move the number. Subtract 3x. So that'll get me 2x equals 18. And then dividing by 2, x equals 9. And there's our solution. Okay, number 9. Distribute, combine like terms, move variables, add, subtract, multiply, divide. Don't call me a monster. So yes, we can distribute. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and distribute in both places at the same time. Distribute the 5 there. I'm going to get 5x minus 5. And over here on the right, I'm going to get 3x plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and put my equal sign, draw a line down the middle. Can't combine like terms over here or over here. So move variables. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides, both of the x terms. 0 pair, we get a 3. That's 2x minus 5. Alright, add, subtract is our next step. Add 5 to both sides to give us 2x equals 8. Dividing by 2, we have x equals 4. And that is our solution number 9. All right, number 10, we have a couple of problems in number 10. One is this 9. If you look real close, you'll notice that there's nothing here over here to distribute, but over here there is. So actually, we are going to have to distribute this 9 from the right. 9 times x will give us 9x. 9 times 4 is 36, so we get 9x plus 36. I'll bring down minus 3. Now on the right side, we can distribute this 3 from the left. So that'll give us 33 plus 9x. And I'll bring down the plus x. Next, we can combine like terms. So we have got on the left side 36 minus 3, which will give us plus 33. I'll bring down the 9x. 9x plus 33. And on the left, or on the right, we have 9x and x can go together. So we get 33 plus 10x. Okay, next we need to move variables. So I'm going to subtract 10x, go over to move everything to the left. So that's going to be negative 1x plus 33 equals 33. Okay, add, subtract. I will subtract 33 from both sides. In this case, we get a 0 pair on both sides. So 0 equals negative 1x. That's also a 0 pair. Dividing by negative 1, we get 0. X equals 0 because 0 divided by anything is 0. And that's one. Let me go check that real quick. If 0 is our answer, then that's 4. 36 minus 3, that's 33. Plug a 0 in here, that's 0, and you get 33. And so the answer should check out in your calculator when you do that. All right, our next couple of problems. I wonder if I can move these around. Okay. This one, these are going to take a little bit more space. In fact, let me blow that up just a little bit. All right, that's probably too much. All right, so let's do these step by step. So number 11, first thing we want to do is see if we can distribute. Don't get overwhelmed by this big problem, because really when you do it piece by piece, like one piece of those steps at a time, really that's all you're doing is you're doing one thing. It's not big, crazy, overwhelming. It's just do the little pieces. It's kind of like a big puzzle. Instead of looking at the 1,000 pieces on the floor and going, I don't know what to do, find the corner pieces, then find the edge pieces. Then you kind of work your way in until it all comes all together. That's what we're going to do. We're going to look at this as let's just distribute a couple times. Three problems to distribute. We can do that. That's easy. Then we'll see if we can combine like terms and do a little bit of that at a time. Then we'll add, subtract, we'll move variables, we'll do all that stuff. Okay, so we'll do it one piece at a time. So on 11, first thing we're going to do is distribute. So that's going to turn into this guy right here. We're going to get 12x minus 16. And I'm going to bring everything else down. 2x plus that minus 3. All right, simple enough. On the right side, we're going to distribute the 5. So that will give us, I believe that's an 80. Yeah, 80 plus 5x. And then over here, if we take 6 and distribute it, plus 6x plus 18. Okay? Looks a little bit simpler now, right? If you look at the big picture, it looks a little smaller. That's good. Next, we want to combine like terms. So on the left, looks like we can combine a 2x and a plus 12x to give us 14x. And also we can combine these two. Minus 16 minus 3. It's going to give us minus 19. All right, equals. Let's see if we can combine stuff over here. So our x terms, we can put those together. 5x and 6x. That's going to give us 11x. And next we have 80 plus 18. So we have a total of 98 right there. It just got a lot simpler. That's our goal. We're going to make it a little simpler every time until it's done. Okay, so next step, the first M is move variables. Okay, move variables. So we are going to subtract 11x from both sides, both the x terms. So we get 3x minus 19 equals 98. Okay, add, subtract. We'll add 19. That is 3x equals 117. Dividing by 3, x equals 39. This one being so big, I recommend you check all of them, but this one, you better not change the page when as you're watching the video. You better not change the page without checking this one, because that's pretty crazy. Okay. Now let's do the same thing with number 12, or similar thing with number 12. All right. Okay. So let's break it down one piece at a time. So first, let's distribute. Okay, so starting over here on the left, we can distribute 8 to both of these. So we get 8x minus 16. And the next one we get minus 2 distributed. So we get minus 6x minus 18. Equals in the middle. We'll bring down the 11. I'm going to go ahead and bring down the plus 4x as well. And distribute this guy up here. Negative 5 here. So negative 5 times 2x, that is going to be a negative 10x, or minus 10x, and then plus 5. Okay, I've drawn my line already, so I need to combine like terms. So on the left, I can combine 8x and minus 6x. That'll give me a 2x. Okay, I can also combine minus 16 and minus 18 into minus 34. Okay, now over here on the right side, I can combine negative 10x plus 4x. Gives me a negative 6x, I believe. Okay, and we can combine the other two as 11 and plus 5, so that is 16. All right, now moving variables. Moving variables, we'll add 6x to both sides, which gives us, let's see, an 8x minus 34 equals 16. Adding to both sides, add 34. That is going to be 50, I believe. 50 equals 8x, and dividing by 8, x equals 25 over 4 as a fraction, or I believe that's 6.25. Either answer would suffice. I'd probably choose the fraction one in this case, but because the decimal terminates, you can actually, it stops right there, you can actually use the decimal. I prefer the fractions about every time. All right, number 13. Well, actually, before I go on to that one, Make sure you look over these two problems really, really well, because if you can get these, all the other ones are just a piece of cake. All right, number 13. Which equation best describes the process of solving 2m minus 5 equals 25? Well, what's the first thing we do to solve it? All right, we would go, if I go back to this, we could add 5 to both sides. So in the answer, there should be 25 plus 5, right? So there's 25 plus 5, D is out, and so is C. And then the next step, we take that 25 plus 5 and divide by 2. So 25 plus 5 divided by 2. The answer is A. All right, 14. A cable company charges $75 for installation plus $20 per month. Another cable company offers free installation but charges $35 per month. For how many months of cable service would the total cost from either company be the same? When would it be the same? This is, we want company 1 equals company 2. So company 1 is $75 plus a $20 per month charge. So we're actually trying to find months. So let's use M for months. So 75 plus 20M equals, and the other guys are just $35 a month. Okay. Now, I haven't done this very often, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to move my variables, and I'm going to move it to the right. If I subtract 20m, you can kind of see when this would be a good idea, because now I've just got 75 equals 15m, which I can solve. So I just cut off a step here. So I'll divide by 15, and m equals 5. So our answer is, for how many months would the total cost from either company be the same? Our answer is the cost would be the same for 5 months. For 5 months of service, either one, it'll cost the same. In fact, it will cost, I think that's going to be $175. Yep, $175. It doesn't ask that, but we could find that real easy. Just plugging 5 into either of these two places with m. All right, number 15. Last one. Madeline and Maverick's mom gave them some money to spend at an amusement park. Madeline stashed $60 of the original cash in her purse, and then spent half of what she still had. Maverick spent 1/5 of the original cash and spent the same amount as Madeline. How much money did their mom give them? Okay, we want to know how much money. So how about we use M for how much money? This is the total. Okay, this is the total amount of money given to them. All right, so let's just start with Madeline, because it's going to be, they spend the same amount, right? So it's Madeline equals Maverick. That's really what we're after. When are those two equal? Actually, start out with Maverick. Maverick spent 1/5 of the original cash. 1/5 of the original cash is just 1/5 x. Okay, so there's half the equation. Now Madeline stashed $60, so she starts out with however much. Oh, it's not x. We are using m's. I forgot. Okay, so she starts out with m amount of money. She stashes 60. That means she subtracts it. She takes it away from what she had, and then she spends half of what she had. Now, before you go on, you might want to stop and look at this equation. Make sure that what I've just said makes sense. Okay? So pause if you need to, but I'm going to keep going. All right, let's distribute. Let me draw my line there. Distribute. That's going to be 1/2 m minus 30 equals 1/5 m. Now I'm going to move my variables. I'm going to subtract 1/2 m to the other side. Now I'll go ahead and subtract 1/5. I'll keep it positive that way. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Subtract 1/5. That will give me 3/10, I believe. 3/10 m minus 30 equals 0. Adding 30 to both sides, I get 3/10 m equals 30. Now you can either divide by 3, if you divide both sides of 3/10, that'll work, or you can do like I choose to do, multiply by the reciprocal. by 10/3. And that gives us that M equals 100. So they were originally given $100. And that is our solution. Okay, now that brings us to the very end of these notes. I went fairly fast, so you might want to go back and watch this again. Ask questions in class. Please do that, because this is as hard as it gets. This is the hardest thing you're going to have in your next test. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're doing this and as you're studying this. Okay, use your time in class wisely. That's the end of our notes.